All right, let's get right into it. Welcome to today's Explainer. We're taking a truly fascinating, completely objective look at the intricate, sometimes confusing world of relationship psychology. Specifically, we're unpacking some highly debated concepts from the creator Ma Motive. We're going to analyze their breakdown of human behavior, subconscious triggers, and the mental frameworks that, according to them, govern modern attraction. Whether you're already a psychology buff or just kind of curious about how we all tick, my goal today is to break down these theories clearly and effectively. So let's dive into this huge, fundamental question. What really builds attraction? Now, for decades, society and pop culture have fed us a very specific narrative about what it takes to win someone over. We're taught to rely on external, tangible things. But the source material we're looking at today, it argues something completely different. It posits that the real answer actually doesn't lie in your wallet or your wardrobe, but rather deep down inside the subconscious mind.
The creator draws a pretty sharp contrast here. Think about the classic movie myth. The idea that grand romantic gestures, expensive gifts, flashy looks, or just being a constant yes man are the ultimate keys to a partner's heart. But according to Mo Motive, that's just a myth. They argue that those superficial tactics eventually fade. Instead, the reality requires a deeper psychological language, something they call emotional intelligence. It's all about understanding a partner's shifting emotions, creating a little subtle psychological tension, and really recognizing how the human brain actually processes value.
And that brilliantly illustrates our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 6 thematic mindset shifts: the attraction myth, praise mind, not looks, the availability paradox, social proof and jealousy, mystery and boundaries, and finally, the ultimate prize mindset. Let's hit it. Section 1, the attraction myth. Decoding the subconscious. This right here sets the foundation for the creator's entire philosophy. The source material strongly argues against the idea that you can somehow buy affection or that you should act like an overly accommodating servant to the person you're interested in. Instead, the focus is entirely on the subconscious. The fundamental thesis is that true, lasting attraction comes from understanding how a partner's brain is wired from the inside out. It's like a giant puzzle. It's about learning to decode behavioral changes and internal emotions rather than just relying on a big bank balance. If you can understand the subconscious drivers of human nature, you literally unlock a level of emotional influence that superficial traits just can't touch. Moving on to Section 2, praise mind, not looks. Take a look at this number, 50. Now, for most of us, getting one random compliment on our shoes is a massive win, right? We'll remember it for months. But the creator estimates that a conventionally attractive person hears compliments about their looks up to 50 times a day. 50! From strangers on the street to endless DMs and comments online. So when you lead with something like, "You're so beautiful," you aren't standing out at all. You're just adding to the white noise. You basically become just another face in a very long, very predictable line. So the real trick is how you pivot away from that white noise. The source recommends entirely ignoring external beauty. Seriously, ignore it. Instead, they suggest using a phrase kind of like this: your thought process and depth are completely different from ordinary people. The creator claims that validating someone's intellect, really recognizing the actual person behind the physical appearance, creates a profound and totally unique emotional impact. It signals that you're the rare individual who sees their true self, which instantly separates you from the crowd and triggers a deep sense of psychological validation. All right, Section 3, the availability paradox. Let's see how this builds, because this dynamic is driven by a critical question. What happens when someone is just way too available? The source outlines this cycle, often called the push and pull. Step 1, you give abundant, genuine attention. But step 2 is the pivot. You gracefully withdraw that availability because you are busy prioritizing your own goals. This sudden absence creates emotional tension in step 3. It sparks that psychological question in their mind: wait, what just changed? And that uncertainty naturally leads right into step 4, increased investment from them. The source claims this cycle creates an attractive mystery, proving that we humans rarely value what's constantly and easily handed to us. Which brings us to Section 4, social proof and jealousy. Here, the source leans heavily on a concept called pre-selection. This is a fascinating psychological principle where an individual actually becomes significantly more attractive simply because others already value them. Think about it neutrally for a second. We are inherently social creatures. When a partner sees that you're highly regarded by your peers, that you've got a thriving social life, it triggers a natural competition mode in their brain. Your perceived value skyrockets because you're suddenly viewed as a scarce, highly sought-after resource. And this creates a trap that so many people fall into. We've all heard the romanticized idea of making someone your entire world, right? Well, the creator argues that while it sounds incredibly romantic, shrinking your universe down to just one person actually makes you seem overly dependent, which inevitably leads to a loss of interest. On the flip side, you have maintaining a robust, active social life. By keeping your own friends, your hobbies, your own popularity, you create this aura of being a prize. It instills this subtle fear of loss in your partner that keeps the attraction super vibrant and dynamic.
Okay, Section 5, Mystery and Boundaries.
At the absolute core of setting firm boundaries is this key term, the abundance mindset. The creator emphasizes that your happiness has to be complete independently of anyone else, period. Because if you operate from a fear of losing someone, you're going to start tolerating bad behavior. And ironically, that very weakness destroys attraction. But when you have an abundance mindset, you naturally command respect. You're silently but strongly communicating that while you want them in your life, you do not absolutely need them to survive. You are completely willing to walk away if your boundaries are crossed. To actually maintain those boundaries, the source uses a great metaphor. You should be an unsolvable puzzle. Look, if you are completely predictable, like always replying to a text in exactly 2 seconds, always reacting exactly as expected, you just become boring. The creator compares human interest to reading a book. We don't excitedly read a book for a second time if we already know every single page and plot twist, right? So mixing deep, serious engagement with sudden, playful unpredictability is what keeps the mind engaged and the attraction fresh. And finally, Section 6, the ultimate prize mindset. The absolutely crucial point to take away here is that none of these previous steps are meant to be cheap tricks or manipulation. Actually, scratch that, they are the natural byproducts of what the source calls the alpha mindset. This whole mindset is built on unshakable self-respect, enforcing strong boundaries, aggressively pursuing your own life goals, and maintaining emotional self-control. When you focus on these internal pillars, you literally stop begging for attention and you start living a life that naturally attracts it. I really want to highlight this powerful closing thought straight from the source material. Real power is not in controlling someone else, but in learning to control yourself. I mean, wow, that perfectly encapsulates the internal focus of this entire psychological breakdown. The absolute highest form of attraction doesn't come from forcing someone to like you. It comes from having such a strong grip on your own emotions, your own goals, and your own dignity that you just naturally radiate value. Which brings us to our final thought for today. A question I really want to leave you with. Are you building a world where you are the ultimate prize? Are you focusing on your own goals, maintaining your boundaries, and really developing your emotional intelligence? I hope this explainer has sparked your curiosity to look a little deeper into the psychology of how we relate to one another, and honestly, more importantly, how we relate to ourselves. Thank you so much for joining me to decode this incredible topic, and keep learning.